Introduce our speaker for today is Ernie Cole, and he's going to be talking about computerology, I can't even say these words you've given me. Geography and musicology. He gave me some tongue twisters, so help me welcome Ernie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Prior to 30 years ago, I had not traveled much outside of the West Coast, but then I visited Illinois in the winter, Florida in the summer, Philadelphia in the autumn, and Nashville sometime. My travels just reconfirmed my love of the West Coast, and the story I'd like to tell you is about careers in computers, Seattle and Santa Barbara, pianos and performing. Or, in just 3 words, my story revolves around computerology, geography, and musicology. Although computerology is a made-up term, I thought I would use it as my first point. Several years ago, I decided to make a change in my career path. I enrolled in a 6-month course to learn computers. Currently, I'm working as a contract business analyst at ODOT in the ITS division. I started here June of last year. But back to my decision to change careers. It was largely influenced by a friend of mine. He was in music school, as was I. He didn't see himself having a bright future graduating with a degree in playing the bassoon. He got into the tech industry, and I followed suit a few months later. The best part of my career, besides the challenge of solving technical issues, has been the wide variety of people that I've come in contact with. People with different backgrounds and hobbies, from different cultures, and so on. My position in IT has often meant that I supported and interacted multiple departments throughout the organization, including upper management, which was always interesting. I have also been fortunate to interact with users by developing and delivering training materials, and that feels good because I've always enjoyed teaching. Secondly, I'd like to talk about geography. I'm not a native to Oregon or to the Northwest, but I've always felt like it is a second home because, you see, my parents grew up in Seattle. After they got married and my dad set up his dental practice in downtown Seattle, Uncle Sam tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Would you mind going down to California and serving?" This was during the Korean War. So they moved to Pleasanton, California, and then shortly thereafter I came along. And after that, they moved further south to Santa Barbara, and that's where I was raised. That's where I grew up. But every summer, we would make the trek back up to the Northwest, to their stomping ground, the Seattle area, and we would have our summer vacations there. Fast forward several years. I've gone to school in Santa Barbara, completed my undergraduate degree, and when I go to graduate school, it's in San Francisco. I've made the first step returning to my parents' hometown. I went to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and after graduating and living in the Bay Area for a while, I met my wife, started a family, had 2 children, and then we decided, for a variety of reasons, to move to the Northwest, and actually Vancouver, Washington. That was over 20 years ago, and I thoroughly enjoy the Northwest, and it kind of feels like coming home. Finally, while talking about geography, I touched briefly on my musical education. That education actually began many years prior, because when I was 7 years old, I started to take piano lessons. All throughout my young adult life, I continued studying piano, even though when I got to high school, I knew my career would take me in a different direction at that point in time. I was going to get a degree in science. And all along the way, however, I enjoyed music. I didn't necessarily enjoy the hard work and discipline of sitting down every day and practicing. But I did enjoy performing, and I did enjoy sharing my music with others. My path didn't continue down the science path for very long. Soon I was working on a degree in music and then on to graduate school, like I already mentioned. Fast forward many years. I have a good career in IT. I have 2 young daughters that each have developed a good deal of artistic and musical talent. They both go to college. They both get degrees in music, one in piano, one in voice. The first then goes off to graduate school studying piano and is now a successful teacher. The second is a vocal major and focuses on musical theater. She's just completed being a cast member in a 6-week off-Broadway musical in New York City. And it feels good having 2 young, confident, talented children that you can share something with like that. In conclusion, I could have told you a strictly chronological story about me and so on, but wanted to stress things that are more important to me. Although I enjoy my career in IT and have for many years, my real passion lies elsewhere. I enjoy the people I work with. I love the Northwest because of my family background and because it's so beautiful up here. And I love music and all that goes along with that. And after all, performing, if I didn't like performing, I wouldn't be here today telling you the story.
Thanks, Ernie. Thank you for that glimpse into your background and what you're doing. Now this time we'll call upon Dale. We'll come